I'm Laura Ingraham. This is Ingram Angle from Washington tonight. Thank you for joining us. Spending while America burns. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, the scenes you're watching are from downtown Chicago last night, where a massive group of teens took over the streets. Now, you can see them climbing on city buses. It's a total chaos, and it's making residents terrified to even go outside. On a nightly basis, the city of Lightfoot, as in Lori Lightfoot, is devolving further into lawlessness. Yet somehow, this disaster of an unrepentant radical thinks she deserves to be reelected. So critics obviously complain her tone is as heartless as her policies are useless. She still hasn't addressed the heinous attack on 23-year-old Dakota Early, who last Friday night was ambushed, shot 3 times in the head and back, and left for dead in the street in an upscale neighborhood called Lincoln Park. After multiple surgeries, he's still clinging to life. 0 suspects are in custody. Now, last night, the bloodshed continued. 3 young children were shot on the south side, 2 boys, ages 6 and 11. Then, about a mile and a half away, a 3-year-old girl. This is tragically, though, nothing new. At least 73 people have been shot since last Friday in Chicago. At least 14 on Wednesday, 21 on Tuesday, 14 on Monday, and 24 over the weekend. So young thugs, they're running wild, and they're fearless. They're not worried about the consequences, and why should they be? Lightfoot won't do anything. In fact, she's bound to take their side in any dispute with the police. And then on a national level, the Democrats are similarly disconnected from reality. Tonight, many of you are wondering, what happened to the America you love? There are pressing problems bearing down on us, yet they're busy doing their abortion hustle, taking expensive jaunts to Ukraine, and more play acting on the pandemic by a president who campaigned on ending it.
Today, we mark a tragic milestone here in the United States. 1 million COVID deaths, 1 million empty chairs around the family dinner table. This summit is an opportunity to renew our efforts, to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to getting this pandemic under control.
Yeah, more like gas bag. Can you imagine what the press would have done if Trump had presided over 1 million COVID deaths? Now more Americans have died with Biden in office with the vaccines than in 2020 with Trump in office without them. Everything Biden touches goes bad, everything. Our country is essentially leaderless on 5 major issues: the border, inflation, of course, that includes soaring energy and food costs, and the China threat. On each issue, the administration has either done nothing, or when it has done something, it's just made things worse. The result is that the American people have needlessly suffered, continue to suffer. Their family budget, their personal safety, their wages, along with our overall national security and stability. Meanwhile, a bipartisan cabal on Capitol Hill, they're spending money like there's no tomorrow. This week, our bankrupt nation has agreed to send $40 billion to Ukraine. It's a number so staggering that even the New York Times questioned the wisdom of the rushed allocation without serious congressional debate. And then there's the ongoing COVID spending scam. This is unreal. After Biden and the Democrats failed in their pledge to shut down the virus, they want to be rewarded with a bigger COVID honeypot, $22.5 billion to be exact.
The heartbreak continues. All the more reason why we must pass the COVID legislation so we can purchase vaccines, provide testing and treatments to prevent the outbreak from various other variants that may come along.
The only thing we need to test for now is mental competence for the geriatrics like her running America into the ground, testing. Now, Republicans should have strenuously argued for zeroing out pandemic spending, but they agreed to $10 billion instead. Not smart at all. According to Dr. Marty McCary, we now have about 95 to 98% immunity that's circulating in the United States. Time to move on, people. Of course, Democrats, well, were spending hawks, though, weren't they, when it came to enforcing our border under Trump? If it means fewer illegals in the United States, they wanted no part of it, and they fought it every step of the way.
We're not going for the $5 billion for the wall. We simply are not.
We're just not willing to acquiesce to a government shutdown and pay a $5 billion ransom note.
They're not getting it for the wall. Plain and simple.
1/8 the price of the Ukraine package. And now we're getting no enforcement, of course, at the border. Illegals pouring across and being flown all across America, crowding our schools, spreading illness and disease, working for under-market pay. Congresswoman Kat Cammack spoke to one of her sources at the border and discovered something that will infuriate you.
He has been a Border Patrol agent for 30 years, and he has never seen anything quite like this. He is a grandfather, and he is saying that his own children can't get food, baby formula, for his grandkids. But he, as a Border Patrol agent, just took in pallets of baby formula for all of the illegals that are crossing into the United States.
That alone should win the election for the Republicans in November. Democrats just don't care. No one is convinced by today's staged White House baby formula event either that Biden did. These people are only serious about one thing: getting you used to living with less, lowering Americans' expectations. When even the Washington Post is hitting Biden's wishful thinking on inflation, you know it's bad, and it gets worse. The liberal-leaning website Vox is reporting that Biden's bipartisan Spendalooza, the American Rescue Plan, actually caused a 3-point jump in inflation. What we predicted, of course. So as skyrocketing costs are hammering American families, the Biden brigade has its sights on delivering relief not to them, but to Ukraine. This is a complete outrage. Here's what's actually in the bill: $4.4 billion to emergency food assistance in Ukraine and around the world, and $900 million goes to assistance for Ukrainian refugees, including English language services. Every single Republican should say no to this. But the old guard is still in charge, so they're all on board. No questions asked. In fact, McConnell, God bless him, is leading the charge. He wanted that money fast-tracked, by golly. Rand Paul is the only one of a handful of Republicans who are standing up for sanity here.
My oath of office is to the national security of the United States of America. We cannot save Ukraine by dooming the U.S. economy. If this gift to Ukraine passes, our total aid to Ukraine will almost equal the entire military budget of Russia. And it's not as if we have that money lying around. We will have to borrow that money from China to send it to Ukraine.
And while we're on this subject, why has nobody in the military leadership of the United States been held accountable for the 13 American service members killed during Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal, or for all the failures of ours in Iraq? Trillions of dollars spent, thousands of lives lost. And to what end? When is the last time America won a real war outright? And the answer, by the way, is World War II. Writing blank checks to the Pentagon is not going to make America stronger. Accountability will make America stronger. We need to take care of business at home, and that doesn't include canceling oil and gas leases. That's only going to drive up prices further. Pelosi actually went back to the future today, though, threatening price controls.
Price gouging needs to be stopped. This is a major exploitation of the consumer. Our bill enables the president to issue an energy emergency declaration, making it unlawful to increase gas and home energy prices in an exploitive and excessive way.
What would happen if she lost those cards? Don't you wonder? And price controls worked so well, by the way, in the 1970s. Nance, you remember those days? Meanwhile, regular people suffer.
President Biden, he's the cause of this. If he would have opened up the pipeline and didn't bow down to the hyper climate control activists, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today.
I try to limit my travels, just go from work to home.
My vehicle takes about $70 to fill up. Before it used to be about $40.
I say about another month and a half before it starts to like really break me.
Break people. Thanks, Joe. We're now having to buy oil from despotic regimes so you can placate the climate crazies? The rest of you sweating it out this summer, you can all go to hell. Democrats' addiction to spending and their aversion to freedom is a sickness. It's the product of a socialist mindset that despises the independent spirit of the American entrepreneur and the faithful core of the American tradition. If it's not COVID, they're going to use climate change to lock you down and limit your choices. If that doesn't work, they're going to bleed us dry by getting us tangled into a proxy or an actual war with Russia, letting China skate, of course. President Xi just must wake up every day and pinch himself that Biden's in the White House. Anyone else find it ironic that when we help make China richer, China just turns around and helps keep Russia afloat by buying more oil and agriculture from Russia? Heck of a job, Joey. For most of the last 2 decades, the establishment of both parties and their enablers in the press corps, they've consistently placed their own interests ahead of ours. They've gotten richer, their buddies in China have gotten more powerful, and America, the greatest, freest, hardest working country on earth, has been treated as a piggy bank for their destructive plans. But my friends, the gravy train is coming to an end. Every day, the inflation numbers tell us that the game is up and that their days of printing money and wasting American resources are running out. This November is going to be the beginning of a new era in which the people finally take back their true power and once more begin steering this country in the right direction. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.